So I'd like to welcome everybody to this PVDA Scribe workshop. Allison has got a ton of experience. She's most of you, if you've ridden down Centerline, you may have seen her in the scribing. She scribes for PVDA. She's scribed for By Chance, and she's scribed for dressage at Devon, which I think is very cool. So over to you.
Thanks, Karen. Yep, again, welcome everybody. We're here to present a workshop on scribing. I'm not quite the oral presenter I'd like to be, so please bear with me. There's a lot of information out there about scribing, but for us, I thought I would focus on what I know best, I guess, and that's scribing specifically for PVDA. For PVDA, doing schooling shows and recognized shows, and so that you'll see is kind of the focus on this workshop. And we're recording this presentation and we'll make it available afterwards, along with some resources to learn more and also to practice. We can just kind of play it by ear. If you have a specific question as I go along, you can put it in the chat, and I think Karen can kind of monitor that, or you can, I think you can raise your hand in the Zoom meeting, or, you know, just, we can figure it out as we go along. Okay, so what is scribing? I wasn't sure if we had like newbies on here. So a lot of people might be thinking, oh gosh, you know, I think I can scribe, but I'm not quite sure. Just wanted to, you know, go over the basics. What is scribing? Scribing involves sitting alongside a dressage judge during a show so you can record the judge's scores and comment for each written test. Anyone can scribe. If you're on the fence about scribing, here's my pro-con list. Pros: providing invaluable help to writers. Selfishly, it's a great learning opportunity. You get to visit many beautiful places, beautiful farms. It's just a real nice day, I think. You see pretty horses all day. You can't beat that. There's free lunch and snacks. And they often ask you what you want. So you get treated really nicely. I think the biggest pro is just being part of that team, and you can just see on the day, you can see the results of your work. Cons: you got to get up kind of early. I'm an early riser, so that's not even really a con for me. But I know not everybody's like that. What does scribing look like? Scribes are focused and quiet. Scribes do not distract. Scribes are writing or keying for concentrated periods of time. And scribes communicate clearly with the judge. But one thing I want to say is scribes are not robots and are not expected to be robots. However, you might want to start in robot mode until you have a feeling for your judge and how he or she prefers to communicate. That process does not take long, and you will quickly be able to relax into a productive day. How's it done? Scribing for PVDA shows is done, for schooling shows, is primarily done by handwriting on paper tests. At some schooling shows and most recognized shows, scribing is done by keying on a provided laptop using the Fox Village eScribe application. If you're interested in scribing for any show, and I hope you are, the show manager will discuss with you ahead of time which method will be used. What exactly does the scribe do? I broke this up into before the show and during the show because it's a significant amount of work you're doing. Before the show, you go through the all of the tests. The manager will give you a clipboard of tests, And you need to go through them and compare them to the day sheets and make sure you have the correct tests in the correct order. I usually get there 30 to 45 minutes before, so I can do this at a relatively leisurely pace. You check that the label is correct, that the order is correct, and that you have extra unlabeled test sheets for each test. And that's done in case the judge doesn't have access. Often the judge will work from a book of diagrams or her own tests, but in case they don't have a particular test, they need a blank version to refer to, so they know the movements. One thing that I tried to stress on here was that, like, the correct test is there, because sometimes they're grouped by color and you think you have the right test, but it might be like training level test 2 instead of training level test 1. And the other thing you do before your day starts is when the judge arrives, you'll meet the judge and ask the judge, do you like to give comment then score, or score then comment? Most judges have a set way they like to do it. And if you're new to scribing, just let the judge know, and they will coach you through your day. During the show, you are sitting with the judge usually at C, and the scribe is responsible for verifying each rider's bridle number, matching it. Again, everything is just about matching, making sure that that test is for the correct rider. And if you're scribing on the laptop, that number is preloaded onto your test sheet. So you're just doing a visual verification of that. I think the main job, as we all see it, is you are writing or typing the judge's comments and scores for each movement during the test. The number one priority is getting that score in the correct box. Close second is getting the full comment in the correct box. For paper tests, the scribe will finish the test scores and comments, and then we'll pass it to the judge, who will write the collective scores and their further remarks. The scribe is responsible for verifying the judge has signed each test, and then the scribe sets the test aside so they can be collected by the showrunner and taken to the scorer. Quick word about professionalism. The scribe is there, again, not to be a robot, but is there to be a neutral person. You don't make comments, even if you know, like, the pair that's in the arena, even if it's a famous rider and horse in the arena, don't make comments about the horse and rider in the arena. Don't ask questions. Often a judge will be very generous and say, oh, you know, if you have a question about anything, just let me know. You can do that, but don't do it during the test. Talk to the judge. Only ask a judge a question if you need a clarification for what you're doing during the test. Don't chat with the runner or any other volunteers while the judge is concentrating on that second part, those collectives and remarks. Don't interpret the judge's words. Even if you heard the judge clearly, don't ever put anything that's your opinion into the comment. And if you think, oh, I didn't really hear what the judge said, I'm just going to put what I think the judge said. No, get the clarification. The riders want the judge's comments, not your comments, no matter how valid they are. If you're having trouble keeping up, let the judge know so the judge can make an adjustment, and always be gracious. Okay, so now we're gonna get to the nitty gritty. I've taken some videos and put some videos together so we can actually see kind of an over the shoulder view of what a paper test looks like, a laptop test looks like, and to hopefully make you see how doable it is. Get this started. This video is about 4.5 minutes long.
Straight entry. 7.0. Good use of your corner. Straight. 7.5. Circle round and balanced. 7.5. Transitions needed balance and connection. 6.5. Good use of corners. 7.0. Circle round and balanced. 7.5. Transitions lacked balance and connection. 6.0. Active walk. 7.0. Shows reach and stretch. 7.5. Prompt. Straight. 7.5. Turn balanced. Straight. 7.5.
Okay, so I was hoping what you would get from that is I do not have pretty handwriting. You do not have to have pretty handwriting. It just needs to be readable. And you stay on track with the judge by making it easy for you by using symbols and abbreviations. And when you become, familiar with those, it really, you get a rhythm going with your judge, and it's very, very doable. I was putting these videos together. I thought, oh shoot, this probably wasn't the best test to use, because here's an intro C test that's actually being ridden in a large arena. So if you can imagine the movements being slightly closer together in a smaller arena, you would still have time to develop that rhythm, but it wouldn't be quite as much time. So depending on the schooling show, uh, which of these like intro or early training tests, they're often done in this shorter arena, 40 meter instead of 60 meter. That makes sense. Next one, we're going to look at that same test, but see what it looks like on the Fox Village test. And I made these videos especially for this purpose, because there's no way to practice on the software itself, which I found kind of intimidating when I started this. I was like, oh my gosh, if I could just see how it's done, I would be more comfortable doing that. So that was my goal here, is so you can see it's doable. And there are actually definitely some advantages to working on the laptop. The competitors get their scores and comments really quick, and it makes the scoring go smoothly. So let's watch how this would be done on the laptop.
Straight entry. 7.0. Good use of your corner. Straight. 7.5. Circle round and balanced. $7.5. $7.0. Transitions needed balance and connection. 6.5. Good use of corners. 7.0. Circle round and balanced. 7.5. Seven point zero. Transitions lacked balance and connection. 6.0. Active walk 7.0. Shows reach and stretch 7.5. Prompt straight 7.5. Turn balanced straight 7.5.
Okay, for collective marks, gates, right, nice and light, 7.0, impulsion, 6.5, 6.0 for submission, 7.0 rider's position, effectiveness of aids, 6.5, geometry and accuracy, 6.0. And for further remarks, as discussed, maintain correct size and shape of figures and work to improve consistency and supple connection. That's it.
Well, I'll start commenting on that before the video actually ends. So I think what you can see here, the main issues or differences between the laptop scribing and the paper scribing are primarily that the judge will need to dictate, and that was me, that wasn't Peggy, silly comments, but the judge will need to dictate those collective scores and further comments. One interesting thing that I found is judges don't seem to usually don't have any problem giving comment and score for the test, but often for the collectives, they'll switch it. Which isn't a big deal. It's only a couple scores. And often judges don't give too many, if any, comments for those collective marks. But you have to keep in mind that a judge who's used to seeing, being able to quickly review the scores of the test on a paper test, they won't be able to see the laptop screen. So they might ask you, what score did I give them for that circle, or for the lengthening or something like that. So they can put together a good score for their collectives. And then same with the further remarks. You might need to ask them to slow down because they're used to just like scribbling it and not dictating that type of comment. One of the points I put on this slide is some directives scroll, and I put that because you're often glancing up to make sure you're in the right part of you're in the right box based on, you know, what the rider's doing at the moment. And especially for some of those third and fourth level tests where there's a lot of parts to one movement, I'll look up and I'll go, gosh, I don't see where that, you know, flying changes. And it's because those boxes are a fixed height and they'll scroll and you'll see the flying changes below, essentially below the scroll. But just a little hint that threw me off. And another point I wanted to make is just in case it helps you for comparative reasons, I type about 75 words a minute. I think if I didn't type at least 50 words a minute, it would be difficult to capture all of the judges' comments on the in the boxes. Fox Village navigation, again, since we can't practice, I'm hoping that this video will help you feel comfortable in getting around Fox Village, the interface. I don't find it particularly intuitive, and yes, there's, but once you get the hang of it, it's a lot easier.
Alison, this is Julie. Can you go over in the Fox Village how to, and in the paper version, how to do errors?
Yes, that's coming up.
Oh, sorry.
Mhm. Okay, I think that's the end of that one. Just so you know, I think we put it in the event description. All of these videos are going to be available for your reference. This whole presentation is going to be available for your reference. I wouldn't expect you to feel like, oh, I can do it now just because I watched this on the workshop. Ooh, let's see how we handle errors, Julie, on the laptop. So basically, you put in the number corresponding to the error, and it's kind of hard to see, and I actually looked at it myself a couple of times, but the score and the percentage are just kind of instantly updated. So you kind of have to be on the ball with this. But one thing Fox Village has is this little error instruction. It's a link at the bottom of each test, and you click it and a pop-up comes up that will help you figure out what number to put in that box. One error, you would enter 2. If there are 2 errors, it would be 2 plus 4 for 6. And then I think the third error, they're eliminated. And you would put that in this term reason box.
Allison, can I break in really
Sure.
quickly?
Mhm.
My understanding is Fox Village is going to be changing their software a little bit so that we can check, like, if on the 4th movement they've made an error, we can check a box and it will remind you to put the score, the error score in. Because right now, if you make, if the writer makes an error and you type error,
Julie, can you mute? It looks like only one person can talk at a time. Sorry, go ahead, Karen.
so right now, if you type error like that in, but you forget to put the score in the bottom, there's only one person back doing the scoring, and that person may or may not see it.
Right.
So we had asked Fox Village to like have a hot button or something that you can put on to make sure that the error gets caught.
That's great. That's genius.
I'm speaking as someone who's called the scorers and said, oh my God, 3 classes ago, I forgot.
That's a great idea. Go ahead, Julie.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely great, Karen, because I had a situation where I did an error and then I realized when I was scribing the next rider that I hadn't. So when the runner came back, I said, can you tell the scorer to put my error in because I forgot to? Because there's a lot you do at the end of a test. You're under time pressure to do all the processing and get the correct next rider up. So it's very easy to forget that.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. And how about for the paper tests? Error handling is another area you can discuss with the judge ahead of time, how they like to handle it. But 99% of the time it's red pen. Make sure the judge says specifically which movement the error is on. And then I like to just give this little kind of hat tip to the scorer so they know to look for the error or 2. I had one judge who said, do not write the error in red pen, but that only happened one time. This is a slide I called issue handling because issues come up and because we're humans and horses and there's all kinds of issues. So here are what I thought were a few common scenarios. Mostly it's always going to kind of come back to communicating with your judge. quickly and quietly if it's during the test. So here is me scribing. I think it's a 3rd level test, so it's a little bit longer. So I speeded it up in between the issues. So hopefully you'll see how we can handle these things.
Drifting off center line. 6.0. Angle modest at times.
Say it again, please.
Angle modest at times. 6.5. Could cover more ground. A little behind leg. 6.5. Seven point zero. Behind leg in transition, 6.5.
Full ground cover, 6.0. 7.0. Not balanced in front and top, 6.0.
What's the score?
Okay, number 19 was a 7.0.
Who initialed this?
Yes, there you go.
Thank you.
So you can see it's just a matter of kind of making a judgment during the test. I don't need to fix this right now. This can wait till after the test. The judges are always very patient. They're used to this. Usually it's just that simple conversation, but you need to stay on top of it, make your little mark in the margin, and remind yourself that, oh, I need to get that score, and I need to get that initial, the judge's initial, because that's important, because you want to keep the integrity of your test. So you need those judges' initials. Troubleshooting and backup plans. I don't know, I thought, oh gosh, I have a lot of backup plans, but then I realized I don't really have that many backup plans. I think the backup plan is actually has to do with that preparation. You know, making sure you have extra tests, making sure you have scratch paper. I like to have scratch paper. This isn't backup, but this is often a judge will make a comment on the test that really says something to me about my own writing, and I'll just like jot it down. I'll ask the judge, you mind if I write that down for myself? That really, I think that might help me. So that's another good reason to have scratch paper. Have those extra pens, get a paperweight, something in case it's a breezy day, you don't want those tests flying away. And have your own order of go. Often I'll get an order of go with, oh, share for you and your judge. Like, no, give me my own order of go. Especially if you're doing laptop scribing, that day sheet, that order of go is going to be your lifeline to staying on track with your classes and with your writers in the class. Also, like my backup plan is just keep the communication going. Communicate with the judge. What movement are we on? Communicate with the manager. Is number 133 a scratch? Communicate with your writers. If you need to get that number, it's like, writer, can you please come down here so I can get your number? And that'll keep everything going smoothly. I think that like the main thing you might need a backup plan with is if you're laptop scribing and your laptop somehow freezes up or loses connection. It doesn't happen very often, but it can happen. You get a full pack of labeled paper tests as your backup. I find it a little difficult to think about finding the paper tests in the middle of a ride. So I developed this thing I call my backup scribe matrix, and it's a sheet of paper. It's basically a grid with a place for the rider number, and it has 25 rows for movements, and they're numbered. So if I know some tests are more than 25 movements, but most aren't. But if we're in the middle of a test, a 4th level test, and the laptop freezes up and you're on movement number 5, you can just pull this matrix out, write that score down for number 5, and there's even room for comments, and just continue on and just let the judge know I need to switch. And so they won't be, kind of, it's going to be a little bit of an issue, but it'll go a lot smoother if you have this close to hand, so you can make a smooth transition. Then when the test is done, you'll have all your scores, you'll have all your comments, and if you regain the connection, you can put them in the computer. If not, you can continue, or you can have time to pull that paper test out of the large pile of paper tests. But as long as you're prepped, you don't have to panic because you're prepared.
Allison, can I give you, sorry to
Sure.
interrupt. There's been not as frequently anymore with the laptop scribing, but every so often it seems like it's going to freeze and you're afraid you're going to lose everything. I've actually taken a photograph of the screen with my phone.
Brilliant. That's
and
great.
then so then if something does happen and it gets completely lost, what
Yeah.
you've already put on, you can text that to the scorer or to the secretary, and then they can use that to input on their side.
They can recreate the test and you won't have lost anything. That's brilliant. I'm going to put that down. I'm going to totally steal that. If we weren't having this public discussion, I would claim that as my own. Just kidding. But Yeah, that's a great idea. Why not? And you also said something else that made me, if you're working on the laptop, sometimes it becomes a little less responsive, like you're typing and it doesn't show up right away. That could be a little clue. So you can like look down, make sure you have your backup plan, grab your phone to take a picture of the screen. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't always happen. It doesn't happen often, but sometimes that little delay or lag will give you a little wake up call to get ready just in case. Resources. I put together some resources for you to practice on. I just think for me, I'm such a visual person, and I just need to see it. And you can tell that's why I got frustrated. I can't actually, practice on the Fox Village application. That's why I wanted to make some videos of what that looks like so you can see it. But we have some, I don't know, here's the, I put them on my website. I don't know what'll happen if are you able to? Can you guys see a website now?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Oh, okay, thanks. So this is just this simple, kind of ugly, simple web page I put together. But here we have some resources to practice. I get it. I know I'm wound a little tight when it comes to scribing, but I would print out these sheets, these blank sheets, and print them on legal paper if you can. If you can't, you can smash them on the letter size paper, but they are printed on legal paper. So you know how much room you have to look for. And here is recordings of our wonderful judge from that show, Peggy Prizo. She was so sweet to let us record her dictating these tests. And then just like print it out. You really only need to print the one side. These are all one-sided tests. And start the audio.
Straight entry.
And just stop and start. This
Straight entry.
Oh, lots of straight entries. And then if you want to see, kind of compare it, like your version to another version, I just made this my own little version, and you could see what symbols and stuff I used, abbreviations here. And then I also put together some simulations for the laptop with, again, this is just a simulation. This is not Fox Village, but if you want to practice your typing, I don't know if you notice, I don't use a lot of abbreviations in the laptop scribing, but you can use abbreviations if that makes it faster for you. But you're essentially just, kind of tabbing through. Oops, I guess I should put numbers there, but and I found this particularly useful for backwards tabbing, becoming good at that, because whether your judge, whether you need to get back and correct something yourself, or your judge just can't seem to get the comment then score and gives you the score then comment. I mean, being able to easily shift backward, tab backwards comes in very handy. And again, you just click the play thing. Tests, and here's my little does someone have a comment? Sorry, here's my little PDF you can print out. I just do the put the rider number up here and start writing scores in these movement boxes. So that's an example of what it looked like. And this really did come in handy a couple times. Came in very handy a couple times, saved my bacon a couple times. It's a USDF guide for scribes, judging terms. I put this resource here because I thought if you're, like I said, anybody can scribe. You don't have to be, you know, a judge in training. You don't have to be a writer even. If it's something you're interested in, familiarize yourself with these judging terms. This is like drinking from a fire hose with this, but I actually thought it was pretty interesting. And there's terms that if you just like get familiar with it and it's like in your ear, it makes scribing a lot easier when you're familiar with the terms. And oh, this is my little cheat sheet for Fox Village navigation. I'll try to make this available for show managers, so maybe they'll hand it out like with the laptops, but here it is available so you can refer to it on the day. And these are just links.
That last sheet you showed us looks brilliant, Alison, and I think it would. I think that should be part of the show package that they hand out, because we don't get that much practice with Fox Village. One thing I was wondering is it possible for the show manager to set up a dummy test in Fox Village at the show, so that if the scribe arrives early enough, we can just practice navigating up and down and not screwing up someone's test?
Unfortunately, no. That really was my motivation for doing these videos. And because we can't set that up.
Because that I find, I mean, for me, the stress with the Fox Village is those first couple of tests, because I'm familiarizing myself with the software and I'm doing it real time for someone's test, and it's usually recognized. So that's anxiety creating. And it would just be nice if they could put a dummy rider in or something like that.
I hear you, sister. That's that was just pretty much what brought about our new board member Teresa Harris was the inspiration for this workshop, and it you know, it's a concern for people who want to be able to do this. And yeah, definitely one of my goals was to help you be able to familiarize yourself with that aspect of it without being able to actually touch it. And I don't know, I found it interesting when I used the Black Horse software, which is the software that you see like when you watching the World Equestrian Games and everything. They won't let you practice it either. So it's not just Fox Village. Yeah.
But I mean, that is actually rather weird. As someone who's had some experience in software development in the past, I've never come across any other kind of software that is produced without training.
I completely agree.
Allison, could we, if there is a scratch whose number has remained in, you know, the test has remained in the system, you could play on that. If you got there early enough and identified it, you could play on that.
It's true, and that would be good, you know, for the test itself and to navigate within the class. But I don't know about you, but I found I was so concerned about having to pull up a test out of order or
Yeah.
or go from class to class. You know, you've got this, you know, ride after ride after ride, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, it's the next class, and you don't have extra time between the class. But you have to be able to pull that up,
Yeah.
find it and pull it up. That's why when I'm laptop scribing, that order of go, that day sheet is with me. I'm clinging on to it like grim death, because I'm going to need to refer to that number. It's all about the number, the entry number, the class number. But it's fun once you
Alison,
get
do you have any good advice for how to handle in both paper and electronic those movements where and I'm trying to remember one because I haven't scribed for a while because it's been winter, but I think it's a serpentine where they score you for the 3 bits of the serpentine and then a collective movement for the whole thing, or something similar to that. Do you have any advice on that?
that? I would say, again, looking through your tests, just and I see what you mean, Julie, because you need to be acutely aware of what your judge is commenting on. So for those, that's definitely a scenario where I would quietly ask, is this for the transition or is this for the serpentine? Or ask, is this for movement number 8 or movement number 9? I think when the judge is going to trust that you are staying on top of it, and then you in turn can trust the judge that he or she is going to help you through kind of a more complex situation when you identify it just by what you're seeing.
Thank you.
I had a slide here with what I think of as non-standard dressage tests. These are some of the tests that you might see at a PVDA show. And believe me, I would love to like talk for a whole other hour about all these different tests, especially like freestyles. Let me know if you have questions about that. But you have eventing dressage, Western dressage, musical freestyles, some upper level tests, which are fun, some lead line tests, which are more fun because it's little kids being led around on ponies, and dressage sheet equitation. All of these, the first time I did them, the judge was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. They're good. You just take your cues from the judge. Here are my pro tips. I'll probably be repeating myself here a little bit. Familiarize yourself with the test layout. Where do I write that score? Where do I write the comment? Check in with the judge periodically, kind of between tests. Let them know, oh, we're running a little bit behind. They'll love to know if you're running a little bit ahead. Give them a heads up, especially when they're going to be switching tests. So many judges will be referencing either sheets or diagrams, and it'll help them get quickly to the next test. Especially since COVID, a lot of schooling shows are kind of mixed up. You literally could be going from an intro A to a first level 2 test, and it'll help if you can give that heads up. It'll be much appreciated. Try not to react to the test, the score, or the comment with either words or body language. You're there to be neutral, and that's either positive or negative. Just be neutral. Greet the rider with a friendly smile, but no chit-chatting, even if it's your BFF. Dress comfortably but appropriately. Be careful flipping over the test page. It can be distracting if the horse is close to you. Silence your phone. Don't check it if you don't need to. For younger riders, right, I like to write, especially if those intro tests and you think you have time, write everything out so they can read it themselves and don't need to have it interpreted or anything. I think that's nice for the younger riders. When you're scribing on the laptop, be aware that the laptop's connected to a server, and the show office can actually like put in a scratch in real time. So you might not be aware of the scratch, but if you're kind of waiting for that rider, and you can look at the bottom of the test and say, oh, that rider's a scratch. You can let your judge know you have a little break and go to the next test. Show management will make you as comfortable as they can, but I like to bring my own cushions because you could be sitting for a while, even though you get breaks. And what I call weather mitigating gear as needed. It involves a lot of portable battery backpacks for my heated vest and whatnot. No gossiping. You'll be chatting with the judges and everything. Just keep that discussion at sea. There's no reason to gossip about anything that happens there at sea. And just be respectful, just like you would want to be when you're in the ring. I just made this little side. What's in my bag? I am a total dressage nerd, scribe nerd. And this is what's in my bag. I have my references. I have the pens that I like to write with. And I have my own legal size clipboard, because you'll usually get a clipboard, but it's not legal size. And that drives me crazy. I have my own folders I can give to the runner for completed tests. And my backup notes and my notepad. So again, I can kind of get those tidbits from the judges that I use in my own writing. Any weather mitigation gear, and I drink a lot of Diet Coke. That's it. Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
This was really, really helpful, Alison. Thank you very much for putting
thank
all
you,
this effort
Julie.
in, and also appreciate you posting everything on your website, because I know you don't get paid for doing any of this. So, you know, you're a mega volunteer with all of this.
That's very kind. The sample test, are the sample tests on your website the current tests? Yes, they are. The show, Nancy, that we did those videos for was in December, after they changed to the new tests. So these are the new tests. Oh, all the way from Pittsburgh. I went to school in Pittsburgh, Jill. Alejandra, I agree that the electronic scribing sounds intimidating. I would encourage you to use the simulation that I put together and see if you're comfortable doing it. You know, start with that intro C test and see if you're comfortable doing it. See if you can develop, if it's something that's, you know, interesting to you, and I hope it is. See if you can, you know, come up with some abbreviations that will make it comfortable. I don't know if you noticed that, but like one word that you won't see in my presentation is easy. I think that I don't like to hear if people say, oh, you get it, it's easy. I don't think it's easy, but I do think it's worthwhile. I dig it. I really like it. I'm better now than I was when I started. You get practice, and it doesn't get easier, you get better. And I think it's important. I really appreciate it as a writer. Not everybody's a writer, but as a writer, you know, when you get those comments, that's what you're there for. And the Scribe is just, that's a big part of it. All the volunteers, we couldn't do these shows without volunteers. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts. Oh, I'm glad, Megan, that you'd be willing. Send your oh yeah, I will. I'll send an email to everybody with that link. I don't know how long it'll take me to put the whole presentation up, but if you want to reference the videos, those videos within the slides, those are on there. Those links are on there. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, thank you, Chris, for the message. Well, if nobody has any other questions, I guess we can kind of put this one to bed. Thank you so much for your time and listening. And I know that this giving a Zoom presentation is not my forte, but but doing the scribing is my forte, and I could talk about it for freaking forever, but I'll stop now.